Now we get to
Last motion, Chair.
the last motion.
Alex, we've got one more motion.
Can't we ask Keith Prince to draft an emergency motion, because he's only had 3 motions so far, isn't he?
I won't take it personally. Well, no, I will. Thank you for indulging us. Just to remind you that I've adapted the proposal to take into account what the Labour Group has said. OWL was adopted by around 18 London boroughs, and its job was to inform residents of when crime, of relevant information when crime was in their area. It's worked successfully in some boroughs, but I'm not going to try and say that it hasn't been all over London. But it has worked successfully in some parts of London. When I was notified that this was going to be abandoned, I thought, what a waste of data. What a waste of those contacts that have been built up over those years, because OWL could be very focused in its responsiveness to crime. So it could just target particular neighbourhoods where perhaps there had been some car crime taking place or some burglaries taking place, and informing residents to lock up, to make sure, and to look after themselves. So the transition, rather than transitioning to a new system that might be better for the whole of London, it's just been stopped. And I really do regret that. And I recognise that there may be challenges with the scheme, but that's an argument for making the scheme better and perhaps more efficient. Not really a good argument for just stopping it, because now that those communications will have to take place on an ad hoc basis by members of the community, whereas beforehand there were people employed or part of their role to notify members of the public. So I do welcome this amendment proposed by the Labour Group, which I've now incorporated. And it's my intention to just bring this to the top of the agenda. Policing is by consent, as we all know, and the better the relationships the police can have with the public, the better for the police force. And so I do hope you can support this motion. Thank you. Second, I forgot who's second. Assembly Member Georgiou, sorry.
Thank you. Happy to second, Chair. Look, the motion sets out, some of the key statistics and the benefits of OWL, and Assembly Member Boff, I think, covered all the relevant points. The one additional point I would make is that having used OWL in my part of the world in Enfield, although the borough didn't sign up, we piggybacked off of someone else's, my local residents, is that one of my biggest frustrations in politics is when you have people complain but don't get involved in the process. Now, one of the benefits of OWL is that it did bring in residents. It was a useful tool, so they could see what was going on in the area. It was quite simple to use and easily accessible on a various number of devices. So I just say, if you have residents, as we all do, that want to get increasingly involved within crime in their area, OWL's actually a very good tool to do so. So that's the only thing that I'd add to the debate. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Assembly Member Hirani.
Not getting involved.
Thank you, and thank you for accepting suggestions from the Labour Group on improving the motion. Certainly in the boroughs that I represent in Brendan Harrow, OWL works well, but I know that isn't the case uniform across those that have OWL. But also there are boroughs that don't have an OWL type or OWL system as well. So I think our suggestions were made on the basis of seeing how we can make sure that if OWL is to cease, or if it's not possible, at least if the funding can be retained or increased even, to introduce or have an equivalent service that can cover more of London so that more boroughs and more residents benefit from it, or at least continue what we have at the moment. OWL, I think doing nothing is not an option, just because of the boroughs that have them, the goodwill that has been created as a result of verified information from the Met Police going out to residents on crime and antisocial behaviour issues in the area. Residents do value it, and having some form of system that continues that will be beneficial for Londoners.
Thank you. I could exercise my right to sum up for 3 minutes, but it's the last motion, and you hate me even more than you do now. So,
love you, Andy.
that
Even
being
more
said,
now.
let's put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please indicate.
Unanimous, Chair.
Unanimous. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, Alex clearly hates